The Splitpad Pro from Hori has been out for a little over a year now. It's a collaboration between Nintendo, Hori, and the game Daemon X Machina. But did you know that they just released new color options? No longer are you stuck with the Daemon X Machina black and red, but now you have Volcanic Red, Translucent Black, and the one I have, Midnight Blue. For $49.99, should you pick this up? Yes. But keep watching the video and I'll tell you all the pros and cons and you can make your decision from there. The unboxing experience is pretty straightforward. It's nothing special, you just have the controller and some paperwork to show you how to do some extra functions. That's all. The build is mostly plastic, which is to be expected. But what I wasn't expecting were some of the buttons are actually rubber. The home, share, plus, minus, assign, and turbo buttons are all rubber. This change isn't bad, it's just different and gives a different feel to these buttons as what we usually expect off a regular Joy-Con. The rear of the grips are textured to stop it from sliding out of your hands in case it gets too sweaty. And these grips are also really light, like surprisingly light given the fact that they look big and bulky. They fit in the hand very, very comfortably, at least way better than using a Joy-Con by itself. Regular Joy-Cons are about 50 grams each, whereas these are about 75 grams each. And when you have these attached, it's not like they're gonna weigh you down in any way. They're big, but they don't weigh that much more than a regular Joy-Con. The face buttons and shoulder buttons are fairly large, again, not overwhelming despite its size, and the buttons are all tactile, extremely responsive, and not very mushy. The stick face is made of soft rubber, and the stick itself is barely larger than that of an Xbox One controller. The size and material of the sticks makes it really comfortable to use. In fact, these things are as large, if not a little bit larger than an Xbox One controller, but despite its size, you can still attach to the Switch and put the Switch inside of the dock. So you're never gonna have to wonder and worry about where to store these big boys. This controller lacks certain special functions of, say, a regular Joy-Con or a Pro controller, such as wireless support, HD rumble, and amiibo support. It's kind of unfortunate that it lacks these things, but it kind of makes sense to keep its price pretty fair at $50. I imagine if Hori tried to keep all of these special functions, that it'd raise the price from $50 to somewhere about, say, the price of regular Joy-Cons at like $80. But what it lacks in these special functions, it makes up for in other areas. This thing, if you haven't noticed by now, has a directional pad, which immediately makes it way better for playing a bunch of single player games in portable mode over a Joy-Con. There's also the FR and the FL buttons on the back of these grips that you can use to reassign any of the front facing buttons to these back buttons. So for example, you could remap the X button to the FR button by hitting assign and X at the same time. The red light will turn on telling you that it's working, and then you can press the FR button at any time and it'll perform the X button's action. You can even do the same thing to the other side, remap any of the directional buttons to FL. Unfortunately though, you can't remap to the other side, so you couldn't remap the Y button to FL. Just like assigning the FR or FL buttons to the same side, you can assign a turbo macro to any button on that same side, and there's one turbo on each grip. Doing this allows you to repeat a single button over and over by only doing a single button press. I don't have much use for it personally, but I could see you using the turbo button to jump through a bunch of navigation menus or crafting in, say, like Animal Crossing, because honestly, I don't think that they've added multiple item crafting yet. I haven't played in a while, so I don't know, but that's what bugged me so much about Animal Crossing, because they wouldn't allow you to craft multiple of the same item. In my time spent with these grips, I've absolutely loved them. Basically anything better than plain old Joy-Cons by themselves is immediately better. The analog sticks feel like they have so much room to travel, which is really helpful for when you're playing a game and you're trying to move accurately and shoot accurately. Something that I wish these controllers did have was button remapping, since the Switch now allows you to remap buttons in the system. So say move the X button to where the B is, or the Y to the A button, whatever you want to remap it to. But unfortunately, this doesn't have that sort of functionality, which is a shame. While it is licensed by Nintendo, they're still technically third party and therefore lack a lot of functionality that a regular Nintendo product usually has. Like I previously said, there's no wireless functionality, which means that you couldn't disconnect these from the Switch and play them handheld on their own. It would honestly be really cool to have a version in the future that comes with maybe a Joy-Con rail that you can attach up the middle and attach the two together and use that wirelessly, because these are pretty good grips. Again, there's no rumble and no amiibo support. I can live with no amiibo support because I've never ever bought an amiibo in my life. But I kind of wish that this had rumble. I really do miss it, and you never know what you've got till it's gone. And another thing is that because it's meant to be played in portable mode, you can't use it in tabletop mode with the kickstand. There's no way you can use the kickstand and it would stay balanced. But the one thing that this thing doesn't have, which makes it immediately better than any Joy-Cons, is the fact that there's no Joy-Con drift. For $50, I definitely recommend picking this up if you're someone who uses the Switch a lot in portable mode. This is as long as you're okay with not having certain features that a normal Joy-Con would have. If you're willing to part with all of those features, you're still left with a well-built, multifunctional, comfortable controller grip that works perfectly in portable mode. That's what it aimed out to do, and that's what it succeeded at. I'd love to have a future version, the Hori Splitpad 2, with some of those missing features like wireless and rumble. But that would also mean an increase in price. So it's all kind of a balancing act. Anyway, those are my thoughts on the Hori Splitpad Pro. Let me know what you guys think of it down in the comments below. Shout out to my patron Oki, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. Peace.